Well, Chris Thomas continues our conversation here, looking really to the next year, but we could go in all directions, because what I love about you is you've got so many things to say in so little time, and I'm always like going, wow. But, first of all, are you enjoying yourself in the role you have as DOI and inside Council of Ministers now? Because you have, in the past, in the previous administration, had to be sacked or let go or walk away, whatever how you want to put it.
Exactly, and I think I have that reputation. I think I have the respect for that. But I've my first. From memory, my first departure was from the Office of Fair Trading, and nobody even noticed for 6 months, because that was the plan. I didn't resign over. Well, I resigned over the issue of gas regulation back in 2015, and I've achieved something, and I wanted to achieve a policy change rather than a thing. And then more recently, people remember that I had an issue with the planning process, and planning is still developing as I wanted it to develop, and that's a very important issue this coming year.
Planning is huge.
It is.
Remind me, what do you want to do with it?
Well, it's now called Built Environment Reform, but essentially it's taking through the planning reform processes that have been in train since my day in 2015.
It's maybe easier soon. They always say it's going to be easier soon to get something sorted. Do you believe that? The planning will be sort of made easier?
I do think so. So from a Department of Infrastructure point of view, again, we want to make sure that our intentions are actually handled properly by the planning process. I can see the frustration from smaller people and bigger people with the planning system from outside. So, fair play.
Well, it's mixed messaging, isn't it? The Ireland's got to go for it and do things and work on sites, but then people you hear all the time being turned down or pushed into the long grass or getting things done. I mean, it's just
but I'm not of do anything just because it's something and we need to be seen to be doing something.
Of course,
that's
why planning's there.
I want the law to be applied. So there was a very significant court case in the last 12 months, which again goes back to my time at the Area Plan for the East, and government ultimately won that court case that the Area Plan for the East had been handled properly, and the nuisance on the quay, which is a very public thing. My position all along has just been we need to do this properly. Either registered buildings are important and the process is made to work around it, or it's not. I've never been one for a big politician or a big person going in and doing something.
Hearing from the other side of this, it always sounds a bit odd what's going on down there, but of course there's two sides to the story. Are you comfortable that it has been turned down then?
Well, as I understand it, there's still an appeal, isn't there?
Right. So I honestly don't know, but something has to be done. It can't just be left to forward down. I mean, that's obviously. So
in terms of big issues coming up, we've got so many. We've got housing, and I do believe that the housing action plan is the right action plan to deal with the elements of housing challenge that we've got, if not
Remind
crisis.
me, what do you want to see done?
Well, a lot of focus at the moment is on the closing of the Gry emergency shelter. Need to fix that as soon as possible, and I made a personal pledge, as has the Chief Minister,
that
will be fixed. So basically we've got to commission another charitable organisation.
Are they queuing up though? Do they want it?
We're still working with one or two, and if not, I've already pledged, as the Chief Minister, that we'll take direct action. But beyond that, at the end of the day, that's just a camp bed in a temporary facility, and beyond that we've got to have a sheltered approach to supporting people and a step-up approach to a better standard of living and a better career and all of the things that are important to all of us. So that's one element of it.
The question is, how many people are affected by homelessness on the Isle of Man? Because we don't see numbers. We don't see people just sitting on streets.
Okay, well, we have the numbers now. So the emergency shelter is being commissioned for up to 5 people each evening who basically come into contact with either through themselves walking in or through the police bringing them there until the following day when they sort it out, or working with social care and mental health. So that's at that end. But beyond that, so many people have other definitions of homelessness to do with not being able to afford the house that
sofa
they want,
surfing and
all of those things. So that's another element of our housing policy, has been to improve the shared equity scheme, and we're considering alternatives. Other elements of housing would be to do with making sure that we finally settle what we're going to do about the empty properties, because we do have nearly 6,000 empty properties.
That number is massive. I mean, that just sounds incredible. But you have that as a factual thing, no doubt, from the data coming in.
So 6,000 people didn't. 6,000. Well, not rates. There's far fewer than that. Many fewer than that pay.
How do you work it out then?
So 6,000 is the number of houses that were vacant on census night in April 2021.
Right.
So a lot of those might be second homes for people in the Isle of Man. They might be properties that people are using as an investment for the future and living elsewhere. They might actually be dilapidated or very, very bad quality properties above that no longer meet modern regulation.
Is your answer to get the prices down here, or I mean, because you keep hearing it's very expensive to live in the Isle of Man. Yep, it's a supply and demand issue. It's a free market. You don't want to start controlling that like Jersey or anything, do you?
Well, conceivably, we might end up with a tiered market. But your question was actually so penetrating, like so many of your questions are. So, in the last administration, for some reason, had this objective to do with the price of housing versus the earnings of people. And that can't be right, because that's ambiguous whether you want to drop the house price or raise the house price. And I hope what we end up doing is we end up using two definitions around housing. One is the proportion of a household income that's spent on housing, and making sure that works for people at different stages of the income ladder. And the second one is to do with making sure that there are the houses that people can move into and can make them into their homes in different ways.
So you do think there could be some sort of regulation here then?
Conceivably, that's a threat in the background, and we are talking about what that might look like if we need to get to that stage. But up to that point, we want to make sure that the private market is working for people. So that's about minimum standards.
Was that in your manifesto?
It is all in my manifesto.
Okay, just checking, because I know how much you bring this out for it.
And then it's also about making sure that social housing works. So we've got mid-rents pilots down in Colby, and we hope to expand that. We're looking to reform social housing by moving over to perhaps periodic rent setting, fixed setting. But it's not only in housing. We've got massive priorities to do with buses, to do with flood risk management. We'll talk about all these things individually. But
you say we. Are you using a royal we there, or was it you that got these ideas? Or was CoMin on message with all this as well?
I think that the things that I don't think I'm in dispute with the Chief Minister, and I hope not with other colleagues in Council Ministers about some of those.
Have you had to withdraw yet from CoMin for any particular things being talked about? Because you are very clearly fixed with your thoughts, because it's in there. But clearly there's going to be moments when you don't agree. And what do? Walk away? Do you resign? Do you just move out for that particular thing? How does Chris Thomas going to be able to reconcile things that don't go his way?
I have voted against quite a few things in Council of Ministers.
Yeah, it's collective responsibility still, right?
So therefore, I haven't voted against too much in the Tynwald and the House of Keys, and to date I've always got away with whatever when I've cast my vote.
Give me an example. You voted against?
Well, like this, we've got a vote. We've got a vote this month coming up, a different vote to do with the way that we handle disclosures of information that the clerk and the presiding officers have, and I actually voted a different way from other ministerial colleagues.
And that's okay then, because that's in there, or just because you allowed now?
Nobody's raised a question to know. I hope by not mentioning it, drawn attention to myself. But in actual fact, I hope that I will turn out to be right, and I hope there's a slightly better amendment coming forward that I'll be able to support fully this month.
Have you still got ambitions to go for the top job?
And I don't think I ever would have said that I had ambitions for the top job, because what I would have said, I think, is that policy matters, and I'll put myself ahead of policy, put myself behind policy, so I'll do what I have to do with my own career and my own political reputations.
I don't know what you're saying there. I'm asking you a question. Would you want the top job? And you gave me a big long answer, but do you want the top job?
I'm too old for that now.
No. Would you like the top job? I mean,
No, I'm
I think
definitely.
you do.
I don't think so.
I think you do.
I don't think so.
I think you would like to be in charge. I think you would like to be making.
That's different. I would like to think. I would like to think that my policies were the ones that were being taken forward. But I'm not your Charles Gard man full of charisma. I'm not your Paul Moulton man who asks all those really penetrating questions. I'm not your affable corporate person who hangs around making friends with everybody.
You are very unique. I'll give you that. But it's certainly working. I mean, you have your principles, and I think talking about that. And I'm just going to go one quick sideline here. Why are we not hearing people talk more about the Dr Ransom thing and the corruption here that's been unearthed in the Isle of Man? I don't hear many people, in yourself maybe in that, maybe I've missed it, but do you think there's, letterboxes being painted red gets more attention in Onken than these huge issues that people aren't making much noise about? You
are right, and that was another reason why I stayed out of government after the election, because Dr Ransom, the principles behind the Dr Ransom case have always mattered to me. So you'll see my manifesto filled with stuff about how to deal with whistleblowing and how to respect public servants.
But you haven't come out and said much about it, have you?
Well, there is action still going on, but it's not only Dr. Ransom.
It's not. That's okay. Let's be more general. It's not good, is it?
It's not good. But we've also got to look back at what happened in terms of social care and the facility in Ballasalla, and there are many other episodes.
We'll talk more. Don't wait. Look out for the other one we got coming up. But with just the last seconds going, do you want to rate yourself out of 10 this year? Last year, rather.
I'll say I have had a bad year, but I'm doing my best. The other issue, just if I got another 30 seconds, the other issue that's coming up in the next year is the whole political one about the role of legislative council and the role of committees.
Are you on that one again?
Well, I probably won't vote for anybody to be an MLC now. We're in the process of reform that Lord Lisvane started, and I've made some dramatic gestures with my voting in the past. And
that was worth getting in, right? Out of 10 last year. Yourself? Do you want to do it?
I'd say the government hasn't.
You first. You out of 10.
7 or 8.
And the government is a
bit lower than that because they didn't manage to get me in earlier.
So what? 5?
Something like that.
Fine. Chris Thomas, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thanks also for your public policy contributions.
Thank you.